any data in a persistent manner, but on the flow, what it is going to do is it will be storing that information in the form of the relations, so that one relation output is going to be acting as the input for other, okay, till we can produce the final output. That is how your data flow language is expected to exist. Okay, but today what we do is that we try to see this particular peak from the analytics point of view. One thing what you are having is Hadoop is something that can be seen from the 360-degree overview. In one sense, it can be used as a development environment for the purpose of processing your data with the help of your MapReduce programs. Okay. In second aspect, it is supposed to be used as the analytics tool. When I say that this is something that has to be used as the analytical tool, you need to understand for the purpose of analytics, you need to have some data sets, right? You agree that for the purpose of analyzing these data sets, you need to be very good with respect to the SQL, right? We need to be very good with respect to the SQL. Okay. But the problem what you're having here is whenever you want to write those SQL code, what you need to do is that you need to be very good with respect to optimizing the query execution plan, okay, along with you need to bother about those database indexes, the performance tuning, all those things that you need to bother for the purpose of doing that activity. Okay, but with Pig, what you can do is that there is no need for you to worry about these optimization things. There is no need for you to worry about your performance tuning and all those things. A simple plain vanilla data flow language commands will help you to achieve that particular functionality without worrying much about the internals of this execution. So that's why Pig in one sense it can also be treated as a data analytics language. And another thing is that even when you try to refer the IT requirements with respect to Hadoop, people are very much emphasizing on Pig only. Okay, right now within Yahoo, what happens is that whatever all the jobs that are running has been written only in Pig itself. So that's why we need to in today's sessions, what we do is that we'll try to understand the importance of the analytics with respect to Pig and how this is expected to achieve when compared to the normal OLAP systems what you're having with respect to your traditional reporting tools. This is something that we are going to see today. Okay, before getting into that particular piece, what are the questions what we are having yesterday, what Shashank and other people has raised, let me try to clarify those particular things before we proceed ahead in this particular activity. Okay, so Shashank, your question is, does this one support data type, right? So these are all the data types that are available in Pig. Okay, int, long, and float and double are basically used for your numeric data types. Okay, whenever you are trying to get your streaming data, as I have told you, right, Pig is something that can be used for your structured along with your unstructured along with your semi-structured data, right? Okay, in such a case, if at all, if you are really interested in processing your streaming data, then you need to go with this particular byte array. Okay, if not with respect to the byte array, if you are interested only in processing your character-based data, then you need to go with your character array basically. Okay, you have your Boolean data that exists. As well as big integer and big decimal that is there, that is fine. But according to that one, complex data types, we have seen something called as a tuple, as well as we have seen something called as the bag. And a tuple of bags is going to be stored in the form of the relationship. These things we have seen. Okay, so you also have some arithmetic operators that are basically used to manipulate your dates also as well, Shashank. In case if you want to focus, that is also there. But I'm not really going into those particular details. What are the operators that we can use? What are the date-based functions that we can use on this one? This is something that you can do a deep dive based on the manual what I'm going to give you today. Okay. So,
sure, Ravi. Yeah.
Okay, this is one thing that I want to bring to your notice. And other thing is that when we go ahead, these are all the classification of your functions or the commands that we use. For the purpose of loading and storing, you have this load along with your stories there. Can anybody tell me what is the basic difference from the load and the store? Divya, what is the major difference between load and store? Load basically retrieves the data from the local file system and then starts loading the data into a relation. The relationship is nothing but a variable which is temporary and whose longitude is still the duration of your session basically. Okay, but when you try to look into this particular store, what it does, it will try to store your relationship into the file system. The file system might be your local file system, or else it might be your Hadoop file system also as well. Okay, so if you want to make sure that your pig Latin script should also behave something like a database environment, you need to start storing your relationships in the form of a file in order to have the persistent storage. That is achieved with the help of this particular function. Okay, store command for that particular matter. Shashank, is it clear? Kamran and Murli.
Yes, sir.
So for filtering, you have this filter distinct for each generate. That is something that you have seen, as well as streaming also. Streaming is something that we'll be seeing at later point of time, but filter we have seen distinct to remove the duplicates, and for each generate, this is something that we have seen here. And join is something that you have seen. Okay, there is a difference between group. Shashank already has replied you. Group is something. The grouping can be done on a single column, as well as grouping can be done on more than one column also as well. I told you, right? Grouping can be done on more than one column also as well. See, if you are trying to group only the data within a single relation, then we try to use this particular group. Okay, but if at all, if you want to group your data based on more than one relation, then you need to use this co-group. This example I'll be giving you tomorrow, how exactly this co-group is going to work out basically. Okay, so joins, what are all the joins what you're having here? You're having the inner join, self join, left outer, right outer, full outer. All those particular joins can be specified with the help of this join. And yesterday's join, what you have seen is basically the inner join, that also you have seen. Okay, and cross join is also a type of Cartesian product. If you want to do, you can also have the option of using this particular cross join also as well. Cross join you can use. Cross join or cross product, what we call basically. Okay, we have seen this particular sorting. These two things we have seen, right? We can have the option of ordering the data or arranging the data either in the ascending order or in the descending order. This is something that we have seen, and we also have seen something else as the limit. What is that limit? In order to limit the number of records that can be, taken from the relationship, we have used this particular limit command also as well. This is something that we have seen. Order along with the limit is something that we have seen. Yesterday we have seen join, we have seen group, we have seen, and order along with limit. These things we have seen. And yesterday we also have seen something like filtering. For each generate we have seen, load also we have seen basically, right? Now dump is something that we have seen. These are all the diagnostic operators, right? Describe, this is also we have seen. That is to describe the schema of the relationship we have seen. Okay, and if we want to debug the set of all statements that are there in a big script, then you try to use this particular illustrate command that we use. But what is the logical or the physical or map reduce execution plans in order to execute a particular command? We can have the option of using this particular explain option that we can use. We have dump, we have describe, we have explain, along with you have this particular illustrate. Okay, so as I have told you something like 80-20 rule. Okay, this is something reverse. 80% of your programming or your functionality can be achieved by understanding 80% of this particular commands also here. Okay, so these are all the commands that we need to use in order to effectively write powerful pig Latin programs. Powerful pig Latin programs like this. Okay, this is one thing that you have seen. So I hope Shashank, your doubts in the yesterday's session has been clarified, right? With respect to join, with respect to group, co-group, and the data types. Okay.
Yes, Ravi. Yeah.
Now, let us come here. The reason why I have taken this Yahoo is this is the mother and inventor of this pig basically. This is the mother and inventor of this particular pig here. Okay, so here what happens is we'll take from the beginning. Building high-level programs over MapReduce. That means that many people think pig as an alternative to MapReduce. Instead of writing those tons of lines of code, you can try to achieve with the help of the high-level abstraction that you're using this particular pig basically. Okay, but one thing let me try to understand here. It is nothing but a data processing platform. Okay, so it says like in data processing platform, it is basically more of an analytical tool that we use here. This data analysts, as I'm telling here, they are treated as skilled programmers. Okay, data analysis is the inner loop of your product innovation, and internet companies, what you're having here, are swimming in data, producing terabytes and petabytes per day, which is with respect to Yahoo. Okay, now coming to data warehousing. So far, we are not talking about data warehousing at any point of time. In data warehousing, we do the ETL processing along with you do the analytics also as well. Pig is something that can be used for the purpose of analyzing your data, as well as that can be used for the purpose of implementing your ETL operations also as well. Okay, for the purpose of implementing your ETL operations also as well. So that is the reason what happens is that today we'll try to see this particular pig from the analytics point of view, how it is going to act as a supplement for your data warehousing concepts here. See, scalability is not there in that. Divya or Shashank, do you have any idea about what is your data warehouse? Have you read in your semesters of MS at any point of time? What is a data warehouse? What type of data that it contains? What is basically used for? It is basically used for your analytical activities. Do you know this particular basics or you don't know? If you could give me kindly.
I'm aware of it, right, Ravi.
Yeah. How about Divya, Shashank, and Barley? Shashank?
I'm aware of it, Ravi.
Yeah. Murli?
Yeah, Ravi.
I think you have worked on ETL, right? Who has worked on ETL? Did you work on ETL at any time in the past?
No, I did not work on ETL.
You have any idea about data warehousing?
Yeah, I know basic concept like how data warehousing works.
Okay, fine, guys. No problem. So in data warehousing, at any point of time, you can have the option of storing gigabytes of data at the max. Okay, but if you are asked to analyze a particular data set which is of 1 terabyte in size, it is not possible. So that's why scalability is a limitation factor in the case of the data warehouse. Basically, scalability is a limitation factor in the case of the data warehouse. That is one thing that we need to understand. Okay, and the second thing is that expensive at web scale. You cannot see if you want to process your data which is of 200 terabyte, more than terabyte of data, you need to spend up to 200 grand for the purpose of processing this particular data using your traditional data warehousing techniques. Okay, and even when you try to use your SQL also, as well as I have told you, right, little control over the execution method. I need to do this particular query optimization. Parallel environment exists. Okay, I will not be able to do any types of statistics in this particular case. Okay, and you have to have a lot of UDFs. What are those UDFs? User-defined functions you need to use for the purpose of loading your data. User-defined functions has to be used for the purpose of loading your data here. So that is the reason what happens is that these are all the limitations or the pitfalls what you can have with the help of your data warehouse. Okay. So today what we are going to do is that we are going to see how this pig is going to surface all these particular concepts in order to provide you more meaningful solutions. See here. For the purpose of doing your data analytics, these are the things that you're having here. MapReduce is there, which is basically used by Google. You know what is how this MapReduce has come up basically? This MapReduce has come up from your GFS only. What is a GFS? Google File System has released a paper. Google has released a paper called as Google File System, and within this one, the processing that is being used to process that data is in fact specified with the help of your MapReduce only. Okay, and Yahoo and Apache are also using this particular Apache Hadoop they are using. Okay, Microsoft is using something like Dryad. These are the things that you are having for the purpose of data analysis. Okay, but when you try to take this particular MapReduce, see here, you have your input records. Okay, I try to map them with the help of your key value pairs. Okay, once you have this key value pairs, then what I do is that I try to do, what is this process called? This particular process is called as shuffle and sort that we use. Okay, once you are doing this particular shuffle and sort, then I try to use your reduce method for the purpose of producing your output records. This is what is your MapReduce that I generally do with the help of your MapReduce programming. Group by aggregate. If I want to do something called as a group by aggregate, that is not possible, right? If I want to do a group by records, or when I want to apply this particular aggregate calculations, this is something which is not possible with the help of your MapReduce. So scalable only due to the simpler design. Okay, and other things what you are having is that it runs only on the cheap commodity hardware. And next thing is that SQL. It is not an SQL, but it is nothing but a procedural control processing pipe. This is not an SQL here, basically. Okay, these are the advantages what you are having here with respect to the MapReduce model. What are the advantages? You write a program, and this particular program can be processed on multiple nodes with the help of your job tracker and task tracker using thousands of machines. So that's why scalability is not a problem. And obviously, when it comes to the cost also as well, it runs only on this cheap commodity hardware. So that's why it is also not going to be a problem. Okay, but when you start using this particular SQL, it is no SQL is there, because it is going to be a procedural control processing pipe you are going to use in this particular case here. But what is this one here? Is it not an extremely rigid data flow? Shashank, can you bypass this M and then use only R for the purpose of processing the data? Is it possible? Can you bypass M and then use only R for the purpose of processing the data, which I cannot do? Okay, so that is reason what we can say is that this is extremely a rigid data flow that we can have here. Okay, and if you want to do such type of join and union, if you want to split something called as M, and if you want to do such type of chains, this is something which is not possible. Other flows what you are having here is going to be hacked in split. Okay, shuffle and sort, how this is being split and how to do this join and union. And in case if you want to do something like mapper, reducer and map chains, this is something which I cannot do with the help of these things basically. Okay, and common operation must be coded by hand. If you want to join, if you want to filter, if you want to do all those type of SQL related operators, this is something that we cannot do with the help of your MapReduce. And one more thing is that difficult to maintain, extend or optimize. We are not talking about any optimization here, right? We are always talking about parallelization. We are always talking about parallelism. We are always talking about a distributed computing framework. Okay, but never we have thought about the efficacy of the program in terms of within how many seconds or within how much minimum amount of time your program gets executed. This is something that we don't have any idea at any point of time. This is something that we don't have any idea at this particular point of time. That is reason what happens is that these are the disadvantages with respect to your MapReduce programs. The place where the MapReduce is going to have the disadvantages, that is a place where Pig is expected to chime in. So that's why I need a high level general data flow language, okay, which is having the semantics hidden. That means that I will only specify what has to be done, but I will never specify how it has to be done. Okay, that is something which is beyond my scope. I want, see, there is a lot of hand coding that is involved here, and this is inflexible. Okay, I want to have a control over execution. I want to have something called as the chip, and then I want to have this particular scalability that should exist. Okay, that means these are all the factors which is going to outweigh the cons what you are having with respect to your Pig Latin language here, which is having your Pig Latin language. Okay, so that is reason what we do is that we go with a high level language which is nothing but your pig Latin, which is going to have this particular control, cheap and then scalable with respect to your MapReduce programs. That is what is called as your enter pig Latin, which is nothing but your Yahoo subscribed pig Latin language that you're having here. So that's why in interviews these are all the couple of questions that are going to be asked. Have you worked on pig or have you worked on MapReduce? Okay, in case if you have worked on pig, what are the factors that outweigh when you are working with respect to MapReduce? Divya, especially you, when you are planning to enter into the arena of big data and Hadoop, these are all the principles that you need to keep in mind, and you need to talk as if you have worked on such type of programs in an expert mode rather than in a novice mode. Okay, that is how these things are expected to be executed here. So this is what is your pig Latin. Okay, now what is going to happen here? Find the topmost visited pages in each category. What does it mean here? These are all the visits that you are having, and this is what is the URL information that you are having here. Yami is the user who has visited. Yami is the user, bbc.com, flickr.com, cnn.com. Okay, URL is the information that you're having here, and patch category. Now, using these two data sets, they're asking you to find out the top 10 visited pages in each category. Okay, now the question is only one data set is required or two data sets is required? That is something that we want to understand. Now tell me, Shashankar, Divya, Murli, and this one, Kamran, can this statement can be processed using a single data set, or else two data sets are required for the purpose of processing your data? Please tell me.
Single data set.
How can be a single data set, sir? I'm also talking about your each category, right? Category.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the category that you are having here.
You
so
need
that
a
means
join.
that, you need to do a join. On what basis you need to do the join? The join has to be done based on your URL along with this particular URL. Then only you'll be able to join these two data sets, right, guys? This is something that has to happen. Did you are following? Okay. Okay. So one thing what I do is that I go here. I want to load these visits, as well as I would like to load this group by URL. So you can see here. These are the visits that I'm having. First, I need to group these URLs, right? Why? Because I would like to count the number of visits grouped by this particular URL, right, Shashank?
Yes, Ravi.
So I need to load these visits, and then I need to group by this URL, and then for each URL generate count. Why? Because I would like to find out the top maximum visited sites in each category. The top maximum visited sites in each category. So I'd like to group by this particular URL. For each URL generate count. Now this things comes here. Load URL information, join on URL. So is it not the flow clear here, guys? The flow is clear. And the place where each and is specifying, that itself is going to be used as a relation. Okay, whatever the output that we are using in this particular relation, whatever the output that we are going to use in this particular relation is going to act as the input for each and every relation here. Is going to act as the input for each and every relation here. Yeah, Divya, are you okay? I think earlier you are having some problem, right? Audio problem is there. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's fine, Ravi. Sorry,
Okay.
I was answering and I found that.
Yeah, I understood that there is some audio technical disconnect that is going at your side. No issues. No issues. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Divya, what I was telling is, whenever you are trying to prepare for the interviews, obviously they will be expecting you some expert answers rather than the novice answers, right?
Yes.
Whenever they are asking you to give the expert answers, there are two things that can happen. They never ask you to tell what is a pig or what are the commands that you use. These things they don't ask you. But the things that they are going to ask you is how many programs you have written on Pig, and can you compare and contrast the features with respect to MapReduce and Pig based on the number of programs what you have written? These are the things that they are going to ask. They never ask you what libraries you have used, what are the programs that you have used, what are the jar files. These are all the things that are available. They would like to see your expertise, analytical expertise that is coming out of this particular MapReduce and Pig. These are the things that they are expected to ask basically. Okay, so please make sure that you are preparing in that particular angle. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is what we are doing here. Once I join this particular URL, then I try to group by this particular category. Okay, once I start grouping on this particular category, the next thing what I do is that for each category generate top 10 URLs. Top 10 URLs. This is what is your algorithm. So Shashank, don't you feel that this algorithm is very much simple to execute? Very much simple, based on the requirement what has been asked.
Yes, Ravi. Yeah.
Think about if you have been asked to implement the same thing using MapReduce. It is a hell thing. Loading is something that we can do with the help of the file streams. Grouping is a hell. Generating is something that we can do, but joining, grouping, and for each thing generating is going to be a hell. The thing is that you need to be acquainted with respect to the core Java. You need to understand the libraries. You need to understand the functions. We need to understand the classes, interfaces, the methods, the parameter passing from one flow to another flow, the number of class files that we need to write, the number of Java files we need to write. All these things are literally going to mess up your life, okay, while writing such type of programs. But does not mean that everybody can live only on Pig. Okay, Pig MapReduce have its own advantages, but I'm telling you the advantages of Pig when it comes to this particular MapReduce. Okay, now what we are doing here, I'm trying to visits, which I'm going to load this particular data here as Pig storage I can use. The next thing is that group visits by URL, then visits count for each generate of URL comma count of visits, then URL is equal to load of this one I'm doing, visits count is equal to jod visits count by URL we are seeing here. Okay, then G category is equal to group visits by category that we are doing here. Then generate of top of visits comma count we are generating here, and then store URLs into data.top URLs. This is the thing that we are doing here, right? Have you not seen each of these particular commands, Murli and Kamran? We have seen all the commands, right? So using those particular commands, yeah, tell me.
Ravi, can a relation or a variable can that be reused? Like he's here, it seems like he's reusing visit counts.
Where he is using
visit counts? I mean, he's using the same thing twice. Same relation.
It's a typo. It's a typo. We cannot use it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, it's a typo. Can you try this one and then let me know? Can you try this one?
Yes, Ravi. Yeah.
When you are trying to reuse the relation on both the left hand side and the right hand side, the execution of your flow will be from your right hand side to the left hand side. In such a case, what happens is that the previous contents that relation is holding will be overwritten by those particular new contents. In case if it is going to be the case. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Just check that one and then let me know. Okay. Now, target users are entrance to procedural programmers. So the step-by-step method of creating a program in Pig is much clearer and simplifier to use a single block method of SQL. It is easier to keep track of what variables are and what are the process you are analyzing this particular data, right? So you can see here, what are the variables that you are using and how are we going to track? This is the way that you'll be able to really analyze the things basically. Okay. And with the various interleaved classes SQL, it is difficult to know what is happening in sequentially. With the help of SQL, we really don't know. SQL is nothing but a procedural language, right? It specifies it is just like a SQL. It specifies what has to be done, but how it will be done, it will not be specified. Okay, so pick has fewer primitives than SQL does, but it is more powerful. When compared to the keywords that we use with respect to SQL, it has only less number of things that you are seeing here. You can see here, you can count on me, what are all the comments what you have written for those 2 or 3 programs what you have written, the same comments can be used to generate maximum of fewer programs basically. That's how this is expected to work in this particular case. Okay, so query optimizations is not at all possible. You really don't need to focus on, and there is no need for you to include that particular optimization part. What are the comments that you are going to use? Based on that one itself, it is going to take up the things here. So one thing you can see, data visits operates directly over files, right? And that means that the file itself are going to be passed as a parameters here. And next thing is that schemas are optional, can be assigned dynamically. There is no need for, suppose when you want to create a table, when you want to insert the data in SQL, what happens? You have to have the schema, and within that particular schema only, the data has to be loaded. Okay, but in this particular case, what is happening here? You can use the schema, or even if you don't use the schema also, that should be fine. Okay, my question to you guys, Divya and Shashank, if you are not going to use the schema, how the data is going to be interpreted? Can you tell me? If you are not going to use the schema, how the data is going to be interpreted?
I think it's going to take the values in sequence, like whatever is there in the table, it's going to take one of the.
It is going to take $0, $1 as the placeholders, right? $0,
Yeah.
$1. Yeah, that's what it is going to happen. And next thing, you can use the user-defined functions. Load group, you can use the group filter for each. You can use directly. You can start using these particular functions like this. Okay. And nested data model, this is something that we don't use. You see, whenever you're trying to group, yesterday we have done this particular grouping, right? How we did here? We specify something called as group visits by URL. Okay, and what is the schema of this URL? What is the schema of your G widgets? It will be something called as the group comma visits, right? Group comma visits. So is it not something like a nested relationship that you are creating here? Yahoo comma these things like this. More natural to programmers than flat tuples. It is not totally a flat thing that we are doing here, right? So it is going to be the natural, and then the joins what you are using is going to be an very inexpensive joins that you are going to use. When I say that the joins are going to be very inexpensive, let me tell you. When I say that the joins are going to be inexpensive, there are 2 things that you need to really understand. First thing is you really don't need to bother what are the columns that you are having, whether those columns need to have the same name or not, whether they are the primary keys or the foreign keys. Those things are not to be bothered. Simply specify the column name. That itself is going to take care of your whether it is a self join, left outer join, right outer join. These things are going to be specified basically. Okay, and grouping is an independent operation. We have seen when you are trying to specify group by URL, you are directly specifying this is the group and these are the widgets. This is what is called as the nested bag that we can say here. I told you right here, it specifies something called as a fully nestable data model. This is what is your fully nestable data model that you can have here. You can also perform the aggregations on these nested sets. Okay, sequential analysis you can do and efficient implementation, right? So I frankly like Pig much better than SQL in some respects. That is group plus optional flatten works better for me. I love nested data structures. Okay, and these results and revenue, we are going to group it like this also as well, right? So cross product of 2 bags would always be would give you a natural join. It won't give you either excess or deficit records. It will directly give you the equal join that can be specified here. Okay, compilation into MapReduce, as I have told you. One thing that I'm asking is tomorrow, please let me know whenever you're trying to execute your pig within the local mode, is pig going to generate your MapReduce programmers, or else how this is going to be interpreted is something that I want you to let me know. Okay, pig is something the user is going to specify. 50% of the Hadoop jobs at Yahoo are pig only. Thousands of the jobs runs per day. Automatic rewrite and optimize is going to convert them into MapReduce, and this is something that is going to execute within the cluster. Okay, so user can go this way, or else user can come this way here, or else user can go to this SQL also as well. Pig is a open source, but SQL is not a open source, whereas MapReduce is a open source here. Okay, so here how this is going to be compilation into MapReduce. This is what you are having here. Okay, now every group or join operation forms a MapReduce boundary. Other operations are pipelined into this map and reduce basis basically. Okay, this is map 1, this is reduce 1, this is map 1, this is reduce 2, and this is map 3, and this is reduce 3. This is going to happen like this. Now input records are going to be combined with the help of this particular combined in the form of this output records. Okay, can pre-process data on the map side to reduce data shift, algebraic expressions and distant processing is going to happen. And then what is going to happen? This is internal, nothing to do with this one basically. Okay, you're going to get this particular results. Cross product is going to happen, and problem if too many values with the same key, no problem at all. Further splits, reduce them among joiners. This is what is the internal operation that is going to happen, guys. These slides, what I'm talking about, is going to specify how your how the steps of your pig are going to be efficiently translated into your MapReduce programs. That is something that is going to specify here. Okay, so this is map 1, this is reduce 1, like that they are going to specify, nothing else. Peak performance with respect to the MapReduce, this is how this is going to happen here. The moment once you start going forward, what is going to happen is that this is something that is going to increase or decrease the performance of your MapReduce, right? So peak performance is standing at this particular 7.6% over there, basically. This graph is totally, distracting, but still. Anyway. Then load URL, program generation for each these things, and for each user average and page rank. Find users tend to visit the higher page rank pages, no output. Joining on the right attribute, everything being filtered out. These are all the problems that you see when you're trying to implement this one with the help of your MapReduce. But a simple plain vanilla pig will be able to effectively generate your programs basically. And another thing is that how to do test runs, run with the real data. Too inefficient is terabytes of data. So that means that even if you have terabytes of data also, that would be really sufficient for the purpose of running it real-time data. Create smaller sets by sampling. Generally, if you want to test your programs, hey, there are 2 environments, right? You can write your programs, and then you can run your programs within local mode, and then you can write your programs within MapReduce mode, right? So if in any case, if they are going to ask you, what is the purpose of running the pig scripts in local mode, and what is the purpose of running the scripts in MapReduce mode? What is your answer, Kamran? What is your answer? When you are being asked to specify where do you want to execute your programs, what is your answer? Hello?
Repeated the question. What here?
When you are executing pig programs can be executed within the local mode, as well as pig programs can be executed within the MapReduce mode also as well. Okay, so my question, what I'm saying is that in what case you execute your programs in the local mode, in what case you execute the programs within the MapReduce mode? Can you please answer?
When you analyze yourself, and you can do in the local mode, and when you complete as the bad job, anything, so then you can HDFS. Yeah, you have a virtual in a virtual system. Then you need to the MapReduce mode.
See one thing. If you are if you intend to execute your pig scripts on the your pig scripts on the real-time data, okay, then you need to execute your programs within the MapReduce mode. Okay, but if you want to do the unit testing of your PIC scripts, then in such a case, what you can have is that you can have a local file that can be existing within your local file system, and then you can start executing that one. That how local mode is basically used for your testing the scripts, whereas PIC-reduce mode MapReduce is basically used for executing the programs within the real-time mode command.
Yeah.
So that is something that we need to really understand. Okay. So I can use it for debugging, understanding the program written by something else, and learning a new operator or a language is something that we can use here. These are all blah 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 here. We have this illustrated comment that we'll be seeing tomorrow, and as well Hive, and these are the different programs that you're having here. But still, do your PIC. Do your PIC in the sense, what do you mean by this PIC here? Do you PIC means what?
Do you script?
Do you script?
Do you analyze?
Do you script the programs? Yeah. Those are the things that there are so many desis also as well. 1, 2, or anybody. He's a desi basically. Big demand for parallel data processing. Every tool does not, engineering tools that do not like SQL DBMS, programmers like data flow types over static files. Hence the excitement about MapReduce, but MapReduce is too low level and rigid. Then this is nothing but your PIC Latin, which is nothing but the sweet spot between your MapReduce and SQL. That's why this is going to happen.
So Ravi, I have one question here.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you run the PIC Latin script in MapReduce mode, does it apply to a full cluster? I mean, each node in the cluster?
It applies to a particular file. Okay, that file will be having the file splits, right? That file will be having the file splits. The file splits will be located on multiple data nodes. Okay, on whatever splits, you think like this. You need to copy when you want to execute your PIC program within the MapReduce mode, you need to transfer your file from the local file system into the MapReduce, right? Whenever you're transferring your thing into the HDFS, automatically what happens here, your file will be split into blocks, and each block will be stored on more than one data node. Okay, and all those particular data nodes, the PIC Latin script is going to be converted into your MapReduce programs. And these MapReduce programs are supposed to be executed by your task tracker and job tracker. You know that execution, right? The same execution is going to be followed here also as well.
Okay, Ravi. Yeah.
That's how it is going to happen.
PIC Latin can be run on unstructured data also.
Yeah, it can be run on. You remember yesterday, Divija was also asking. Text loader is there, and then you also have something like PIC stories. PIC stories is basically, I have the specific examples. I'll give it to you also as well, Murli. I'll be giving them to you also as well.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me, Shashank.
Ravi, today I was trying to execute the transactions file. I mean, I was trying to retrieve the data from there. And then I wanted only few of those stuff from the comma delimited file and all. I see that it's taking different order. Like I get random stuff and it takes the first few columns, something like that. So
are you trying to use limit function?
No, not like that. When I initially try to load the file,
okay.
So I'm just using that transaction city, machine type, and some of the stuff from that delimited file. So I see that it's taking first 3 rows or first 4, and then it's finishing that off. So how do we ensure that we get the right stuff out?
One thing what you need to do is that as soon as you load the data, okay. You dump that data. You store that data into some other file using that store command.
Okay.
once you store that particular command, you can store it on your local file system, or else you can store it on your HDFS, right? Okay, go to that particular file and then start opening that file. Okay, once you open that file, if you are able to see those records, that they are good. Otherwise, there should be some problem where you need to. You remember, I was telling you something like sudo jps is the command that we use to make sure that whether all the processes are running correctly or not. In case if the data is not getting really loaded, one thing is that you need to restart your machine once again.
No, the data is getting loaded, but it's not in the right order. I can show you like right now, or I'll send you an email of that.
Yeah. Please send me an email. Yeah. That should be fine. I'll check that one.
Sure. I'll send you to this class.
So tomorrow, what we'll be doing is we'll be going through the illustrate. See, where is it? The illustrate command. Okay, the explain command, and then we'll be seeing this particular store command, and then we'll be seeing this particular co-group. We'll be seeing along with the leftover commands. We'll be seeing, and I'll also discuss a couple of examples that you're supposed to do as the assignments. Okay, once we complete them, Thursday I'm having a corporate 5K run, so we may not be meeting on Thursday, but Friday once we meet, we'll start looking into the other echo tools. Most probably we'll start looking into Hive. Once I complete, see with Pig automatically almost the major 50% of the concepts gets completed. We talk about MapReduce, we talk about HDFS, we talk about Pig, and we talk about all these things that we have discussed. Okay, the next session that we are going to see is nothing but your HBase. We are going to see your Zookeeper, Woozy, Yarn, okay, Flume. We are going to see your MapReduce 2.0 features with respect to your combine and split. These are all the things that we are going to see in that particular second part. Okay, so I sincerely suggest and encourage to make sure that you go through all these particular assignments and then start looking into those assignments and then come up with the questions basically. So Murali, did you get a chance to look into the LMS, what has been given on your virtual system?
You mean the assignments, Ravi?
Yeah, the assignments are the modules, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, once you get a chance, kindly work on them also as well so that it will be helpful to you at some point of time.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we leave for the day? Call out a day.
Ravi, will you be showing the installation? I mean, that is what I was just concerned of, the Pig installation and stuff from the tar file.
Yeah, I'll show you that one. I'll show you, or else, yeah. Otherwise, I will make you the presenter. Okay, you start doing that one, and then I'll be helping you out. Either way should be helpful for us. No problem.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Ravi. Yeah.
Okay, no problem, guys. Thank you, and wish you a good night.
Good night, Ravi.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.